This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so part 4, chapter 4, and we're up to paragraph 10. Towards the end of Shema Ubirchotav, Kriya Shema Birchotav, Shema and its blessings. So we've discussed the Shema, the first pasuk. We've discussed Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto L'Olam Va'ed. We've discussed the different kabbalot that we're accepting upon ourselves. The kabbalat Ol Malchut Shamayim, the yoke of the heaven, the acceptance of mitzvot, and remembering Yetziat Mitzrayim. And here we're going to touch upon a very interesting concept, which has halachic ramifications when it comes to saying Shema with a minyan or saying Shema on your own. So let's hear what he says. So up to paragraph 10. V'uyud. V'ulam o tikun echad. There is another tikkun, another rectifying, corrective, empowering aspect that is nichlal, included, bichlal, in this kriyat parshiot ha'ela. That's included when we read these 3 parshiot, right? 2 from Devarim and 1 from Bamidbar. V'hu l'takein ha'adam. And this has an elevating, correcting, rectifying effect on ha'adam, on the person, called prate bechi notav, in all of one's in all of one's detailed elements, beor yichudo yitbarach, that comes from the light, the illumination of God's oneness. V'chein l'takein bo kol pratei abriya, and also it has this elevating, rectifying, purifying effect on all aspects of this universe, of the creation. What is that? Vizeh, and this is ki hinei chlal b'chinotav shel adam hein ramach. Humankind is composed of 248 components. Exactly how we break this down, I don't know, right? Meaning, if you add up all the bones and all the muscles and all the other organs and tissues, we'd have more than 248. So, how it's broken down, I don't know. But this is a known teaching of Chazal, of the sages, that they view the human body as having 248 components. Right? Avraham has the gematria of 200. Avram, has the gematria of 243. Aleph is 1, Vet is 2, that's 3. Avram Resh is 200, Mem is 40, that's 243. With the circumcision, it became 248. And because now he became Avraham, now he had full control over his entire body, over the 2 eyes, the 2 ears, and the Rosh HaGaviyah and the male organ. That is what he gained through the circumcision. He became Avraham, which has the numerical value of 248. 248 is a very, very key number. That's also how many mitzvot aseh we have. We know there's the tally of 613 mitzvot based on the pasuk of Torah, Tziva Lanu Moshe, 613, and there are many, many different Rishonim, earlier commentators who argue over how do you reach the tally of 613, which mitzvot are included, which are not, which are a group and are counted as one, which are counted individually, and they all need to reach the tally of 613, but that gets more complicated because it's not simply a tally of 613. The Gemara goes on to say that there are 248 positive assays, do's, mitzvot assay, which means a mitzvah that thou shalt do, and there's 365 don'ts, right? So however you're going to use, whatever rules you're going to use to reach your 613, it also needs to fit into 248 plus 365. But why 248? Because each mitzvah gives chiyut, gives light, gives life, gives eternity to one of the 248 aspects of the body. So 248 is major. So we have another aspect of the Shema that it includes within it this tikkun for the human body and for the entire creation. Why is that? This is right? Humankind is made up of 248, which are the Hein Ramach Evarim Shalo, which are one's 248 components of the body. Vulam Chalkei Habriya, and the components of the creation. Gam Kain, also the Fi Konanu Yotehem, according to all of their components and parts to it, is also Haim Ramach, is also 248. Bahakbala l'Ramach Ivrei Adam, corresponding to the 248 limbs of a person. So a person with the 248 mitzvot gives life to themselves and gives life, gives chiyut, gives tikkun, gives correction, gives purification to the entire creation. The elu tzarich sheyutuknu, but both humankind and the entire creation needs to draw from Or Yichudo, from the light of God's oneness, God's singularness. And how do we do that? How do we transfer? So we mentioned one idea of the mitzvot. There's another mode of transfer, and that is the Ramach Tevot Sheb'Kriyat Shema, the 248 words that comprise the Kriyat Shema. So saying the Shema, those 248 words, that gives life, gives tikkun, gives eternity to the parts of our body, and to those components, those parts of the universe. Now, the problem that we run into is that when we count up the words of Shema, it's not 248, rather it is 245, not 248. And that is why when we're davening with a minyan, with a quorum, so then the leader, the shliach tzibur, the chazan, he repeats those last three words, Hashem Elokeichem Emet. And by us being the congregation and joining in with him, we don't say it with him, but being part of that minyan, of that quorum, of that congregation. So those three words plus our 245 equals the 248. As I mentioned earlier, if a person is davening without a minyan, so they're not going to be hearing the chazan saying that, then we start off with three words, with the words Kel, Melech, Ne'eman. God is the king that is trustworthy. And therefore, we start off with those three plus the standard 245. So that is how we reach this tally of the 248. Good? Clear?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Okay. So that is Yud. Now, Yud Aleph, paragraph 11, deals with, because we don't just say the Shema. The Shema is preceded by two brachot, and it's followed by one bracha. So in order to fill out this Kriyat Shema, Ubirchotel, the Kriyat Shema and its brachot, now the Ramchal is going to give us a glimpse into the understanding of the structure of those two brachot. So let us begin. Hine, v'hine, and behold, Chachameinu Zichron Livracha, Chazal, our sages of blessed memory, Chibru, they attached, or they composed, le'inyan hazeh, as part of this concept, habrachot, shel hakriyat shema, the blessings that surround kriyat shema. So besides that, the fact that we say, as the Torah says, b'shach b'chov kumecha, at the time you go into sleep, the time you're waking up. So in addition to our saying the Shema, there are brachot that surround this Shema. This is Hine b'chol yom mitchadesh kol hametziut kulo milfanav yitbarach. Every day, mitchadesh, there is this renewal of all that exists before God. So it's not like, we say the world was created yesh me'ayin, something from nothing. And because of that, whereas a carpenter, so the bookcases that I have off to the side here, so he took existing wood and he fashioned them into these wonderful, strong bookcases. Imagine the carpenter built the bookcases, and I said to him, "Thank you very much." And he's standing there holding them up and says, "Oh, you're very welcome." I say, "Thank you very much. I think your job is finished." He goes, "No, no, no, no. You're very welcome. But I've got to stay here. Right? If I'm not holding it up, if I'm not supporting it, it's going to fall down." So obviously that's not the carpenter that one would want to hire, because he created yesh meyesh. He created something from something, and therefore it has its own independent stability, durability, existence. Whereas God created the world yesh me'ayin, something from nothingness, and therefore it needs this constant renewal, this constant infusion of energy. It's kind of like if you unplug the appliance, not only will it stop working, but it will just dissipate. It will go back to tohu vavohu. So every day there is this mitchadesh, this renewal of all that exists before Hashem, v'zeh b'shtei bechinot. And this is two aspects, two concepts. Achat, number one, bivchinat hakiyum v'hatmada. In order for the kiyum, the continued existence, and the hatmada, the existence and the continuity. Sheinei mitchadesh hashefa bakol. There is this renewed energy. This shefa, this flow from God, this energy from God is renewed. Litkayem v'latmid al mitziuto. In order for it to litkayem, to exist and continue, al mitziuto, in its essence, in its existence. So in order for anything to exist every day, there needs to be this renewal. And we actually say that in that bracha. We say mechadesh b'chol yom tamid. God renews b'chol yom, every day, tamid, constantly. What does he renew? Ma'aseh bereshit, the act of creation. So God didn't, right? God stopped creating new when the seventh day came around. But this constant renewal of their present existence, that is a constant. Mekadesh b'chol yom tamid. And that's why a Jew is always supposed to feel that I'm never locked into any situation, because whatever situation I'm in now needs to be recreated, or can be recreated in a different manner in the very, very next moment.
Rabbi, I must say that, I truly believe that. But I can imagine that the non-believers will say this is total nonsense. The way I look at it is that, every night we go to sleep and we leave the reality of the day. And while we are asleep, we are somewhat dead. We are gone. And then the next day, we wake up to a new reality, a similar reality to the previous day, but it doesn't have to be that way. So why is it that we wake up to a similar reality? It is only because God is still holding. If he let go, we would have woken up to a different reality.
Yeah. Well said,
Yeah.
Uzi. Well said. And in regard to what you said, that most people think it's crazy, so I couldn't help but thinking that when I was in high school, so then science taught us the constant state theory. And I remember my science teacher saying, "Listen, guys, whatever your rabbis tell you in the morning, that's what they're telling you. I'm telling you what science says. And science says the universe always existed." And then, of course, the Big Bang came around, and everyone agrees that the universe did not always exist. There was a beginning. Bereshit. There was in the beginning of this bara, of this creation. Now, science doesn't yet believe in the third word, Elokim, that God created. But there was a creation, a point when it all began, they all agree. And no one can explain what was before that, right? And that that's science's act of faith. Oh, we have faith that we'll understand at some point, right? So the same way that no one believed that there was a first creation, and now everyone accepts there was a first creation. So right now, the Ramcha is telling us that actually there is every moment this recreation, and people don't believe that as they didn't believe other things. But eventually, there's always going to be a meeting of science and Torah. If
Yeah,
science is being done correctly and Torah is being understood correctly, then the two of them must align.
yeah.
Good.
Nobody understand what exploded,
Right.
why it exploded, and
And
who
who's the big
exploded it.
banger? Who's the big banger? There's a big bang. Who
Yeah,
was
and
the
who
big banger?
exploded it, and what happened before that.
Yeah. And what exploded? What was in existence that exploded, that brought about this explosion? Yeah.
Yeah.
V'hashenit. And secondly, Kihine, and this is an incredible concept. Kol hayamim, all of the days, miyimei hasheshet alfei shana, of the 6,000 years. Hine chulam gezurim v'omdim milfanav yitbarach. They are all gezurim, decreed, standing from before God, bivchinat ha'erot v'hashpaot, in regard to their ha'ara, their illumination, and their hashpaot, and their influence, meaning each and every day has its unique role, mitziyuyot umatzavim, its essence, its state, its influences, Hamitzdarchim la'olam. They are all needed for this world. Every day plays its crucial role for this world. L'sheyashlim hasibuv hanirtzeh, to bring about the completion of this entire cycle that God willed, v'yagia el hashleimut, and for it to reach the point of this shleimut, of this perfection. Every single day plays its unique role in this incredible orchestra, in this incredible tapestry of the shleimut. V'nimsa kol yom b'china chadasha mamash. Therefore, each day is a b'china chadasha mamash, a completely new and different entity. Ubab'china hahi mitchadesh kol hamitziyot kulo. And through that aspect, it brings about a renewed state in the entire world, the entire universe, because each day has its unique aspect, contribution, and therefore each day the universe has been changed, has been altered. Va'al zeh ne'emar, and about this we say in our tefillah, Mechadesh b'tuvo, what I quoted before, Mechadesh, that God renews, b'tuvo, through His goodness, b'chol yom, each and every day, ma'aseh bereshit, the act of creation. So every day is a renewal of all that exists, and every day brings its own unique aspect to the creation, and therefore each day is a new creation. And those words, tamid, we say in Maaseh Bereshit, that is part of, towards the end of that first of Brachot, the first blessing. We have two blessings, we'll soon see. In the morning, we have two blessings before the Shema, and we have one bracha, one blessing after the Shema. V'hinei, and behold, al hashoresh hazeh, based upon this root, tiknu habrachot ha'ela, these brachot, these blessings, were established, v'hashvachim, and the praises, al klal habriot kulam, on all of the creation, shehem hamitchadshim yom biyomo, which they are renewed every day. So these brachot that we have beforehand are about this incredible creation that's being renewed daily. V'hinei, behold, klal habriot ha'ela mitchalek l'shnayim. If we're looking at the totality of creation, it's basically divided into two major categories. Ha'echad, number one, kol briot ha'olam ha'tachtonim v'alyonim, all the creations of the world, that which is down here below in the physical world, va'elyonim, and that which is up in the spiritual world, v'hasheni, and the second one is klal min ha'anoshi, mankind, right? Exemplified by Yisroel, shemin ha'adam be'emet. So we have one aspect of creation. He doesn't say the physical and the spiritual as the two. No, one is the entire creation, including all the physical and spiritual creations. And then what do you have as a second category? Mankind, which serves as the connector between the physical and the spiritual. Famous Rashi that we have in Bereshit, and by the creation, where we speak about how there was this balance of the physical, the earthly and the heavenly, as we made our way through creation. And then came time to the last creation, and there was a quandary, so to speak. If this last creation will be earthly, will be shifted in that direction. If it will be heavenly, will be shifted in that direction. What did God do? He created mankind, Adam. And that is the bridge between earth and heaven, between physical and spiritual, thereby maintaining that symmetry, that equilibrium. So these are the two klal habriot, the two categories of creation. V'hinei, al seder zeh, based on this construct, sidru bracha rishona, the first of the two brachot that precede Shema, the first one was established, b'shevach klal habriot upekidehem, with the praises of this complete creation, all of these creations, upekidehem, and the role that they are meant to play, their pekidut, their mission. Vehem, habriot lamata, these are the creations down below, v'hamalachim lamala, and the angels up above, kol echad bistarav, each one in its entire structure and setup. And that's why that first bracha that we have, first it speaks about the ma'orot, right? Blessed are you, Hashem, Yotzer Or, who created light, and Choshech, makes peace, and created everything, who illuminates the world and those who live there. Each day mechadesh, each day maaseh bereshit, the creation. How wondrous are your works, all done with such wisdom. The world is filled with all of you created, that you stand up above, uplifted, exalted from ever, right? Have compassion on us, etc., etc., etc. Right? There we go. It was great in knowledge, prepared and worked on the rays of the sun, right? And placed luminaries all around his power, leaders of his legions, holy ones, exalt God, may you be blessed, right? And then, right, the one who created all. And talking about the angels still, they are beloved, they are flawless, they are almighty, they do the will of their maker with dread and reverence. They open their mouths in holiness and purity, and they all cry out Hashem, the name of God. They cry out Kadosh, 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 holy, holy, holy. They call out Baruch Kavod Hashem, Mimekomo. Right? This is talking all about this incredible creation, all that God created. Vashenit. Sorry, I lost the place. No, I didn't. And we include here day and night, and the Ma'orot HaMoshlim Bahem, and these luminaries that rule over these time periods. V'hashenit, and the second blessing is B'shevach al inyanam shel Yisroel. There we said it's about the connection between earthly and heavenly, physical and spiritual, and that is humankind, and that Klal Yisrael leads the way with our Torah, which enables us to make that connection. That's the Shevach, the praise of Yisrael, V'ha'avash Aivam, the love that God showed to us, V'ha'keruv shekervam avodaso, and the closeness, the drawing close, that God drew us close to his service. And that speaks about the Torah, the giving of the Torah, and the fulfillment of the Torah. V'nichlulu b'brachot ha'elu kol ela inyanim b'darchehem amtiim acher kach kriyat shema. And included in these brachos are all of these concepts talking about the actual essence of these creations. And then we come to the kriyat shema. Welcome, Robin. So good to have you on board. The acher kach, and afterward,
I've been here for about 10 minutes.
What, Robin?
I've been here for about 10 minutes, but I had to come late. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, it's good to have you, Robin.
Thank you.
And afterwards they established another bracha, al kahanisim hagdolim, about the incredible miracles, great miracles, sh'aslan Adon Baruch Hu, that Hashem did for us. Vayikar, and the main of that is, of course, Yitziat Mitzrayim, the Exodus from Egypt, Bipiratav, in all of its details. Misudar al pisodotav hamitiyim v'chol habechanotav. Right, arranged according to its inner understandings, its sodot, the secrets, the mystery, all that actually went into it, and all of its aspects. So those are the two brachot that we have in the morning, before Shema, and the one bracha that we have after the Shema. What's left for us now is the evening Shema, which we say also, and that too is surrounded by brachot, by blessings, but there we have much shorter versions of the first two, and then instead of one bracha afterwards, there we have two brachot afterwards. So let's hear the Ramchal on that, and with that we will finish this quite extensive chapter on Kriyat Shema u'Birchoteha. V'hinei, ikar inyan zeh baboker. The main concept of these brachot, which is about the renewal of the world constantly, but on a daily basis in the morning, so to speak. That's where, as Uzi said, we wake up and we sense this renewal. This ikar inyan is vaboker, is in the morning. Sha'az hu hitchadshut hamitziyut k'moshe zacharnu. That is the time of this renewal of existence, k'moshe zacharnu, as we have mentioned. V'ulam, however, b'layla, at night, hine nosaf inyan babriot kulam. There is an added inyan, added aspect of all the creation, lefi inyan halayla, that which nighttime brings. Ve'ein ze el kamo gemar inyano, but this is like the completion of the inyan, the conclusion of the inyan of the day, v'hashlamato, and its completion. Now, you might ask, and I want to finish, but then we'll come back to this. Well, doesn't the Jewish day begin with the night and then end with the day? Right? Shabbat, of course, begins Friday night. So our day begins night, then day. He seems to be saying it's going day, and the night is the completion of the day. Well, that's not how our Jewish day actually works. We'll come back to that in a few moments. Let's just first hear him out. Ubivchina zu, And based on this idea, Gam Kain Sidru. Based on this also, they arranged the Birchot Kriyat Shema Shel Arvit, the brachot that accompany the Kriyat Shema of the evening. Ach, however, Yoter B'Katsara. But the first two, and even the third one, are in an abbreviated form. Yoter b'katsara, much shorter manner. Ki eina ela chazarat hadvarim b'kitzur. It's basically a review of what we had said, and it's the cliff notes. It's a briefer synopsis of that which we had said. K'fi ma shemitchadesh b'sidrei haraga nimshach acha ma shenitchadesh b'yom. Because the renewal of the night follows after and is the completion, as we said before, of the renewal of the day. So that's the three brachot, 2 before, 1 after in the evening. Same idea as the first three, but in a more in a shortened form. And they also, the sages also added in a bracha on the idea of, menuchat halayla, on the rest of night, v'hashena, and sleep, b'chol b'chinotel, in all of their aspects. V'hainu, that is the fourth bracha, which is birkat hashkivenu, right? Hashkivenu, lie us down, b'shalom, in peace, etc. But again, he presented night as the completion of the day. But we know our Jewish calendar, our Jewish days, our Shabbat, holidays, all goes with the night, vay erev, vay boker, first the night, and the day, the day begins nighttime and ends when the day ends and the next night begins. So I think an understanding might be as follows. The reason we have the Jewish day, we'll call that, of the night and then the day, is because that represents our foray here in this world. And that is dark and then light, confusion, clarity. Olam hazeh, this world, olam haba, the world to come. But even in the Torah, we have this concept of the night following the day. Where do we have that? So a sacrifice has to be brought by day. And then it must be eaten that day and that night. It can't remain until the next morning. So in the temple, in the Beit HaMikdash, it was day and then night. We started with day there. And the night is the completion. Sacrifices are only brought during the day, and then they'll continue burning. If they were not completely consumed on the altar by day, they'll continue burning by night. So in the temple, in the Beit HaMikdash, there we start with day. Why? Because there, that is the place of absolute clarity. That is where there is the 10 miracles that constantly happened there, were constantly happening there, as the Mishnah Ava tells us. That was the place of God's presence. That was absolute clarity. There we didn't start with the confusion of night and then go into the clarity of day. That was an Olam Haba embassy, it's referred to. It's the world to come embassy here in this world, where one sensed that absolute bright illumination, clarity, immediately upon being there. And there, in fact, the structure there of the halachot, of the laws, is sacrifices brought during the day, and then the night is the wrap-up, is the completion of the day. So therefore, over here where Ramchal is speaking about from God's perspective of his creation and how of God's perspective, when we're viewing it through the lens of God, then there is this absolute clarity, as the Beit HaMikdash is a reflection of that clarity. And there too, we start with the day. So here where he's discussing this, the creation of God from the perspective that God created it, well, then day is the time of the main renewal. And that's why every day, Avar Yom Batal Kavarno, every day has its new sacrifice in the temple. Every day has its new creation and its new mission, and the night is a follow-up to that. And therefore, the brachot of the night are a shortened reiteration of the brachos of the morning, with an added bracha that we have of Hashkivenu, which is unique to the night. Okay, my friends.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you
All
so
right, and
much,
next
Rabbi.
week we start on Tefillah. Okay, we'll start the Inyan HaTefillah, the concept of Tefillah, of prayer. Okay, good having everybody on board. Robin, how's your mom doing?